I get where you're coming from, Faraz, but they haven't done that much terrible things. Like, sure, they canceled Secret Science Hills, the whole Kojima thing, but what else have they done so evil? It's not like Konami are trying to defend them. Oh, no, they've done evil things. Like, here, okay, I'll explain this. I'm not going to look at chat or anything, so if you want to argue about it, it's fine. But what they've done is something I consider very, very, very evil. And I'll launch into a big explanation for this, so just try and wait until I'm done to respond to me. But games were, in the beginning, what were games? Like, what were the wonderful, amazing games in the beginning? They were, like, just really... They didn't have a formula, or they didn't have, like... They weren't 100% always profit prioritized or anything like that. Games were made because someone... like good games were like, I want to make this and I want the people who play it to have fun and to enjoy my game. And in that, they pour a part of themselves into the game. Before games were a commodity and more of an experimental individual thing, they poured themselves into the game. You know, that's why you have some really, really amazing games with some really, really amazing things. And it's not like they were going through and making a checklist of what to include in their game so their game would sell. No, they were trying to just make a good game in a lot of cases. Of course, there was profit prioritized games and stuff like that. But my point is, the better games were games that were, like, you know, from a person, not just a checklist of things that you need to include, a cookie cutter... put it together yourself game. It was like, man, I want to create a game like this where it just feels good and it's enjoyable to play and it's stuff that I like myself and I'm going to put into it, you know? That was what games were a lot of the time. And as games got more popular, you know, as there was competition and stuff like this, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing by itself, it just can be a very corrupting thing. But games started to be more focused on, okay, what sells more? Will this sell more or will this sell more? Like, that's why there's so many fucking Call of Duties. You know why there's so many Call of Duties? Not because they want to make good games, but because they have a franchise and they want to make money from it, you know? They're a business and they want profit, you know? So there's two ways of thinking. There's two very different ways of thinking. I want to create something really good and really nice and share it with people so there's mutual enjoyment and it's just a nice thing. And from there, money will come, you know? And that's how I see Kojima. Kojima made Metal Gear, and it was this unique, wonderful, amazing thing that's part of him. You know, something he sees, his vision on things, something really nice. And he shared it with the world. And there's all sorts of different games that do that. And there's games that have been bastardized and no longer do that. Like the Final Fantasy games, they were all like that for a while and they started to fall off because of the whole profit thing. The Tomb Raider games are an example of profit focused. Assassin's Creed is an example of profit focused. God of War is an example of someone making a really good game and just being like, wow, it's really good. I'm really happy with it, you know? The Last of Us with Naughty Dog, that's an example of someone making a really good game, going through all the things, all the motions, not just doing enough to have it sell, but making it really good, like going above and beyond because they're passionate, because they care about their game. Like there are a lot of models, and for maximized profit, what you do is you make a game that's good enough, but you don't go above and beyond, because the more resources you put into it, the less you get out of it, you know? But there's, like, that's what I'm trying to communicate right now, that mentality. There are some really good, amazing games, and they are made in mind from a humanistic perspective rather than from a profit business perspective. That's what makes games really, really, really enjoyable, in my opinion. That makes them really unique and really like something worthwhile. Okay, and so that's what Kojima was doing. He was making games. Like he made PT, playable teaser, and it's like this amazing, ridiculous thing that just is all these new things that people haven't seen before, and it's something that he himself is like, I want to make this, you know. Silent Hills, same thing he's doing with fucking Death Stranding. Like Kojima games are very much him. Like, it's not just a checklist. He's doing it, and he's expressing himself through the games. There are people that do that. Same thing with like Nier Automata. Like, that in itself was not a game that follows checklists. You know, that's an entirely new experience. And it's like, it's because of the creator of that game. You know, Miyazaki could make Souls and stuff. I don't know too much about this. But again, it's not a checklist. It's like, it's an essence of them. It's a creativity. So Kojima's making these games called Metal Gear. And Kojima's like, hey, I'm satisfied with where Metal Gear is at. I don't want to make any anymore. I'm done making Metal Gear. And Konami is like, no, you're our vice president. This is one of our most profitable things. You're going to make more Metal Gear. And so Kojima says, okay, I'll make more Metal Gear. And he tries to make more Metal Gear. He makes Metal Gear 4. He tries to end it. Metal Gear Solid 5. And Metal Gear Solid 5, Konami's like, you have to make Metal Gear Solid 5. And Kojima is like, okay, then I'm going to make it a good game. I'm not just going to make some cash grab or some half-finished game or something that, you know, is within this profit margin or is dictated by profit at all. He's like, I'm going to make a game. And so he starts making this game, Metal Gear Solid 5, and you can see, if you play it, it's unfinished. Like, it's really good. It's really cool, all the things he put in to Metal Gear Solid 5. And for the first half, it's good. Like, I like the story. I like everything. I like all the things you can do. The open world, you know? Like, I didn't think you could do that with a Metal Gear, but Kojima made it work. And then halfway down the line, Konami's like, you need to release it. We're not paying for this anymore, or we're not going to let you finish it, or whatever. And then so Kojima releases an unfinished game that's half finished. It upsets the fans, like the fans of Metal Gear who are so excited for Metal Gear Solid 5. Kojima's putting his name on the line because Konami's forcing him to make something. They're so excited for Metal Gear Solid 5. They're now disappointed because they get half a game. You know, Metal Gear Solid 5, half a game. It's on PS4. It's on PC. It's got all these cool innovations and stuff. It's got all these cool things you can do, and it's half finished. Why? Because Konami wants profit. They don't actually care about the fans. They don't care about the fans want. They don't care about Kojima, who's literally made them successful. They care about profit. That's it. And then from there, Konami goes and they say, hey, Kojima, you're not allowed to accept even an award for this game. Metal Gear Solid won a bunch of awards at the game things. Mods, if people are being upsetting while I'm talking about this, if they're being like belligerent, just time them out, because I can't read what they're saying right now. But he wasn't even allowed to accept awards for this game that he made. You know, thanks, Ozzy. And people at the Games Award, they booed Konami. Like, Konami clearly does not care at all what the fans think. They see the people that buy their games as profit. They don't see them as like people who live and breathe and feel. They're like, hey, I don't fucking care if you don't like the fact that Kojima can't get an award for this game. Our personal pride or our personal whatever is not going to let him accept an award. He's not getting an award for this game. It's not going to happen. And they're willing to put all of that above any of Kojima's feeling, any of the fans' feelings, any of the people who have made them or sustained them to this day. Not only that, but they completely canceled Silent Hills. Kojima has lost everything to do with Silent Hills. He can't make it. You can't make it. And after PT was such an amazing, ridiculous thing that swept everybody tried the PT demo. It's still talked about today. It's such a thing. People are like, wow, PT, that would have been really amazing. They just took that away from everybody. Why? Because they have something against Kojima. That's it. That's literally it. So what I see Konami as is selfish, you know, and not like childish. selfish, childish, and they don't care about anything other than profit. So you say that's not evil, but that in itself is evil incarnate. You know, that is something that I don't want near me or near my games or infecting any part of the things I love. You know, that is corruption in itself. It's just, it's nothing good. They've done nothing to redeem the fact. And then after all of that, by the way, after they took away PT, after they took away half of Metal Gear Solid 5, they had the nerve to release Metal Gear Solid 5, which everybody knows is a cash grab. And they had the nerve to not have, to have a very unfinished game where you have to pay for save files, you know? So you say they're not evil. You say they're not evil, and they might have not done something completely or totally horrendous or anything like that. But no, that's evil. That's bad. That's bad. That, to me, says if Konami was put in a position where they could enslave people, or they could, conduct animal cruelty, or they could take advantage of things that are inhumane, they would. And why would they do it? For fucking profit. So you might not think they're evil, and the people that are working at Konami, deserve to keep their jobs or whatever. But no, they've done a bunch of really fucked up shit, man. And it might not seem like it from first glance, but I honestly think everybody, if not literally everybody, should not buy any more Konami games because of what they've done. Because they have not done a good thing. And it's inconsequential for them. Yeah, they take some profit loss and stuff, but they're still a company. People should not buy their games. They should go bankrupt from what they've done. It's really not okay. And that's my rant on Konami. And that's why I think, honestly, Konami should go bankrupt. And that's also something that happens. You have to make concessions. Konami enslaving the planet is hilarious. Sorry, but that made me laugh. But it's the same idea. You see someone abuse another person, and the idea that if the world allowed that abuse to be, if that was more accepted, they would do it so much more. They would do it so much more. The only thing that's stopping them from being worse is the limits that people put on the world, that people put on them from the world. You know what I mean? Hi, Chastine. You know what I mean? I'm not going to read any of your paragraphs. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, if they're belligerent mods, just take them out. That's my take on it. And things like, I read your video. I understand what it's saying. Things like EA and a bunch of Ubisoft games, and they very much embody that mindset of profit over people. They do that, and that's not something I will. It's not acceptable. It's not something I want to support at all. It's not. If I have a choice between supporting fucking Hollow Knight or this new AAA title EA game, and I have all the money in the world, guess what? I'm supporting Hollow Knight, man. If I have the choice of supporting Celeste or God of War or The Last of Us or fucking anything where your people are actually making a game with that's not Hollow, then I will support that 100% over Konami, EA, and so on. I will. And I will also state that as well. And it's not just I will support those companies, I will frown upon EA. I will frown upon Konami. I will speak I will speak openly about how I think they're disgusting and hollow and terrible for what they've done. You know, just because they didn't do anything bad, just because they didn't cut someone's arm off, just because they didn't commit genocide, just because they didn't, you know, do this or that, doesn't mean that they aren't corrupt and terrible and capable of doing that. And not only that, but they would if they could, you know? So that's what I think about that whole thing. So the argument that the people who work at Konami don't deserve to lose their jobs is irrelevant, in my opinion, because they are supporting something that is acceptable to support because the emotional impact of their decisions isn't readily rejected or frowned upon. You know what I mean? Hi, So Shadow. Price of capitalism won't care about the product they're selling. Yeah, but I'm not saying I don't understand how it works. I'm not saying they're intentionally doing this. Like they're intentionally doing this, or you know, it just depends on their priorities. Shareholders want their money, so then, you know, figure something out. You can't figure something out, then you need to make your decisions very carefully when you structure deals and stuff like that. Like, I can understand it's hard to make really good games, and it's hard not to have profit in mind and focused. I can, of course I can. I'm not saying it's the easiest or simplest thing in the world. I'm saying that this is not a good thing, and I won't just condone it because it's not easy to do. You know, or it's the easier thing to do. Sorry, I won't condone it because it's the easier thing to do. Like, you have to understand, there is responsibility in captive audience. Seems tired of it. Well, the reason I'm not really reading any responses or anything is because often when I say things like this, people will focus on one little piece of my argument instead of my argument as a whole and say something completely irrelevant to what I'm talking about or trying to address. So in me trying to be like, hey, that's not what I'm talking about, it doesn't really matter, because then another person will chime in and be like, hey, but Kojima slept with that guy's wife. Doesn't that make him a bad person too? Or like, hey, this completely unrelated thing. Wow, does that apply to your situation? And it's just like, no. Like, if you understand what I'm saying, good. If you don't understand what I'm saying, go listen to it again. And it should make complete sense. Like Pig Slop? I'm pretty sure Cody Balrog from God of War gives a shit. He was very, very, very happy when people loved his game. He was very happy. You know, he wasn't just happy about the money. He was very, very, very happy. You know, there are people who make games for good reasons. There are lots of people who make games for good reasons. Whether they're successful or not is a risk they take, but it's always nice to see them successful, and denying their existence isn't true. There are also companies like EA, Konami, I'm on the fence about Ubisoft, that will take advantage of you and take everything you have because they are run as a business, you know, with business ethics and business mentality and all that shit. Chat, just a chat.